And, I don't know what the motivation is other than the Michigan carpenters. And it's sad that this is happening. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to deal with it.
The appearance, at least in the messages, is that your vote was for sale. That's not true?
No.
And the line in there where you say, we never had this discussion.
Well, there are certain things that I have discussions with people that are shared, personally.
Certainly.
And so I felt like my relationship with the carpenters were close and personal. So that was it.
Mm-hmm. The carpenters certainly did not want the repeal of the prevailing wage law.
No. And I feel bad that I had to, vote for my, with my district. And I dearly love the trades. I would do anything for them. But as I've said in the past during that vote, there's some votes that I can do because of how I feel as Larry Inman. And there's some votes that I don't like to take because it's what my district expects me to do.
As their representative.
Yes. So that is the answer.
Yeah, but he loves the trades. No, he loves the money that he gets from the trades, which in this case, the Michigan Regional Council of Carpenters and Millwrights donated a total of $6,000 to him between 2017 and the May of 2018, I believe, was the last donation. A donation of $4,000 and $2,000. But they did not give him any more money after he allegedly solicited via text messages for funds.
If we show,
but he loves the trades. No, I'll say this again. Obviously, the Michigan Regional Council of Carpenters didn't learn their lesson from 2010 when they endorsed Governor Rick Snyder when he was a Republican candidate, and they didn't back Virg Bernero, who was pro-labor, and Snyder wasn't, and they got burned with right to work in the state. Obviously, the carpenters didn't learn their lesson.
And they're not
and
the
Mike
only
Jackson,
union.
once again, I'm calling you out. I hope you have the guts to appear on this show. It took you several years to come on the first time.
Let's cut all the crap away from the sniffling excuse. The records in the court clearly show Inman indicated that he and 11 other lawmakers would be persuaded if they were handed $30,000 in campaign donations. Inman then told them live in his Lansing office Thursday he would never take a bribe or ask for one. That kind of hypocrisy, that type of contradiction, forget it. Don't listen to these watered down, I've never done this, 20 years. This is it clear. He's dead in the water.
But Jack,
he is a dead duck up there in Williamsburg, Michigan.
He's in Traverse City.
Yeah, but he lives actually in a little town outside of Traverse. I know
really?
It was Turkey. Yeah.
Yep, I know where Williamsburg is, too. One of my former male dancers when I worked as a DJ for Parkway Tropics lives in Williamsburg. I know right where it is.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But I've got another clip. Here's cut 3. Again, these clips are made available by Michigan's Big Show, Michael Patrick Shields. Again, this one runs about 2 minutes as well.
The speaker, Lee Chatfield, also from northern Michigan, according to what I'm reading here, called you yesterday, or you met in person?
No, there's a process to go through when something like this happens, and you have to meet with the speaker and
you did
his
that?
staff. Sure. And I met with the human resource director, and they're kind of the, they have to do the determination phase and stuff. So,
Did they ask you to step down?
Well, there's, you have to understand that the speaker is placed in a position of one of his members. Okay, so
I'm going to pause it right there. Notice how he avoids the question.
Yeah.
Well, we have the answer for you. Chatfield has called for him to step down. Let me read this again. This is Malachi Barrett at MLive. State Representative Larry Inman said he probably should have picked up the phone and called labor union representatives instead of sending texts that would later be part of a federal indictment alleging he solicited bribes. I'm going to skip around a little bit. He told them live, quote, "I was never a texter. If I had something to say, I would either call them, and that's what I should have done in the long run because texts can be misinterpreted." End of quote. Yeah. Again,
Put a fork in him. He's done.
Again, Lee Chatfield, the Speaker of Michigan's House, has called for Inman to resign. Democrats in Lansing have called for him to resign. Lonnie Scott of Progress, Michigan, who has been a previous guest on this very show, has also called for Inman to step down and resign. This is a guy that worked for Huntington Bank for over 20 years. Yeah, he knows about money.
Yeah, I'm afraid I have accounts there. I may take those out.
You know, I'm done playing clips. I actually have more, and I've got another one, but this is too much. This is too much.
We have time to go into the Iran issue that is
knocking
at our door.
And the only reason
over again, the same playbook that Georgie Boy used, it's being thrown at us again.
The same one Reagan used.
Let's be honest. Bolton is the reincarnation of Dr. Strangelove. Mm-hmm. He is. But we said on this show a couple of weeks ago, we don't have any war protests any longer. Mm-hmm. There was a time when it was, I took part in it, millions of people. Not just in the Vietnam War, but the Iraq War. I remember huge demonstrations. But where have all the anti-warriors gone? Anti-war warriors. Mm-hmm. Has the U.S. public become desensitized to the horrendous suffering inflicted by the government? Or are they blissfully co-imperialist? Mm-hmm. What has produced, and these are our words, verbatim, this unprecedented state of brain demise, amorality, and bizarre insensitivity to the suffering and pain of others? The ratcheting of tensions has placed two culturally and geographically dissimilar countries, Iran and Venezuela, firmly in the crosshairs of yet more illegal American wars based on lies. We have 120, these are my words, 120,000 troops pledged to go over to Iran. I've seen maps of our bases that are dozens of them, all around the adjoining area and countries right all around Iran. We see the false flag being waved. Saudi Arabia is claiming that they were attacked, some kind of confrontation with Iran. It is war that Trump will use if he gets any more in the corner. You push him any more in the corner when he realizes he has no chance to get out of the corner. His popularity rating is approaching 50, et cetera, the bombs will fall. Mm-hmm. And Bolton has an absolute penchant to go to war. You could not have appointed a more fanatical hawk than Bolton, John Bolton, to be in the position he is right now with his finger on our nuclear power. Mm-hmm. It is a scary situation, Darren. I got to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you think we're going to see now the kind of war protests that we saw on the buildup of the Iraq War? Do you remember there was a strong protest up to the what they call it, shock and awe evening, where they showed us the fireworks going off.
Yeah, and you were part of those protests.
Yeah, are we going to see that again? This writer, this is
truthfully,
Black
I
Agenda
don't know.
Report.
Yeah, by the way, we should say that is coming from Black Agenda Report, which, by the way, some Pacifica radio stations carry Black Agenda Report's radio show, and it's good listening. You really need to take a listen to them.
No, but seriously, are we going to see any protests? Do we have any fiber left to confront our imperialism? The Democratic Party sure as hell isn't going to do it.
No, I don't think they will.
Code Pink? What do we got? Code Pink. I guess we're going to fall in Code Pink.
I don't know. Jack, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just, who knows? I think a lot of people have just given up on the process. I think it's going to take people to, like we've talked about, activism. And we're going to release that show sometime soon.
Well, as we leave this issue, there was a high-ranking general in the Britain, the UK, that came out and said all of this saber rattling and so forth, it's based on nothing. Mm-hmm. There's been no confrontation that's coming out of Iran. It's totally a bogus lie that we are the recipients of threats from Iran.
Yeah.
They're being set up. They're being put into the crosshairs. and people are just sitting on their butts watching it happen.
Yes, and I hope people will get up and protest, but if you don't have that reason to protest, I can give you another one. I have this story. This is by Tim Stello at NBC News. This is dated May 12th. A San Francisco journalist said that authorities knocked down the gate of his home with a sledgehammer, handcuffed him for hours, and seized thousands of dollars in electronics. Why? Because he refused to identify a confidential source. Journalist Brian Carmody said in an interview that the raid occurred on Friday of last week, which would have been May 10th. Though officers from the San Francisco Police Department first asked him 2 weeks ago about who provided a police report that revealed details of the death of the city's longtime public defender in February, a guy by the name of Jeff Adachi. The city medical examiner determined that trace amounts of cocaine and alcohol found in Adachi's system contributed to a heart attack that killed him. The 49-year-old Carmody, a freelance journalist, said he sold the leaked story, which included photos from the apartment where Adachi was found unresponsive, to some local news outlets. After the leak was denounced by elected officials and Adachi's widow, who called it despicable, a department commander apologized and said the leaker would be held accountable. When the officers arrived at Carmody's home, he said, quote, "They asked me to give them the source. Of course I declined." End of quote. When authorities returned Friday, Carmody said officers had a warrant that appeared to say they were looking for the report, which was described as stolen or embezzled property. No, that's a leak. There's a difference, folks. Carmody didn't steal anything. He was given information that he decided to publish or to sell to a publisher. That is within his rights as a journalist. Carmody said he was handcuffed for 7 hours while officers took his equipment and obtained another warrant to search his office. Quote, "They took every electronic device that I own, every computer, every hard drive, every digital photograph that I have taken in the last 25 years. End of quote. And I'm just going to stop it right there.
There's 3 wars
This
right
is
there.
ridiculous.
War against journalists, a war against Iran, a war against a woman's right to her own body. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get involved, we're going to lose in these.
Absolutely. This story coming out of San Francisco should scare the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Because who's next? Who's the next journalist that's going to be rousted by the police?
And what story won't you get because these people are afraid?
Yep.
To do a good and honest job.
A free press means a free press. And
Integral
we're not getting it
to
in San
democracy.
Francisco.
And Trump is at war with it.
Absolutely. We're out of time for this week. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
Jack Prince.
For Kristen Cook, please support the First Amendment and independent media.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.